Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? Happy Saturday. I hope you guys had a fantastic work week and that your weekend has started off with a bang. It was a crazy work week again for me again. Lots of stuff going on at work. And this weekend has been lovely, but it's hot. It is so hot here. Even the dogs are not enjoying the heat. They are low key right now. But that's good for me. Stay inside, enjoy the air condition, read a book. Who can complain about that? If you guys don't know, and I'm pretty sure all of you do know, that August is Women in, Unicorn Overboard. August is Women in Translation Month. It's really a month to celebrate all of the amazing work done by women authors across the world that have been translated for me into English or maybe into whatever language is your primary language that you read in. And it is just really an opportunity to read books that maybe have been on your TBR or haven't hit your radar, and it's just a great month. It really is. It's a fantastic month to celebrate literature. And this video is going to be me recommending a bunch of titles for you so you can celebrate Women in Translation Month along with me. Come on, let me show you what I got. So, if you guys don't know, Matthew Sciarappa and Kendra Winchester, two very good booktube friends of mine, are actually hosting a readathon at the end of August, from August 25th to August 31st, midnight to midnight, in whatever time zone you are in, to celebrate Women in Translation Month. They actually have 3 prompts that they have put forward, and then 2 bonus books that you can read if you want to participate in all 5. I'm going to just read you the questions, and I do have examples from all of my piles that I think will fit all of these prompts, and then some of them I think I'll try to explain how they fit in as we go along. Prompt number 1 is read a book with the translator credited on the book cover. I love that. Often you won't see the translator on the cover, and I love when they do get the credit for translating the book. It's not a bad thing if they're not on the cover, but I just love to see them listed there on the cover. Prompt number 2 is read a book in a non-traditional format: audiobook, ebook, poetry, play, etc. A lot of these books are going to be available in ebook, some of them in audiobook. I know Kendra and Matthew are big supporters of audiobooks, so it's really exciting for them to put this prompt forward. Prompt number 3 is read a book where the gap between the original publication and the translation spans at least 5 years. I know I have one book on my list definitely that fits that category, and I'm really excited to share it with you. And then the 2 books that they put forward is you could read Other Words by JUMPHA LAHIRI, translated by Goldstein. That is Kendra's pick. Or read The Girl Who Wrote Loneliness by Kyung-Suk Shin, translated by Hye-Young. And that is Matthew's pick. Both of them I'm sure are going to be absolutely excellent. They both have great taste in books. So let's get started with me recommending some titles to you, okay? What I have here is a pile, and in that pile I have 5 I think that I've read and 5 that I haven't read. I gotta create my own TBR for this month too, but I am super excited to tell you about them all. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you get a hold of your books. If you are so able, please order these from your local independent bookstore, and or have your library order them if they don't have them already. The first book is going to be no surprise to be on this list, and that is the amazing Disorient Allah by Nagar Dawadi. This is translated from the French by Tina Cover and out from Europa Editions. Europa does so much amazing translated literature. I think they're in here more than once, actually, if I am being honest. This book was shortlisted for the National Book Award Translation Prize. It won a Lambda Literary Award, and it won another literary award recently as well. I cannot remember the name of it, I'm sorry, but this book is definitely worth your time. The story of a young woman who at the beginning of the book is in a fertility clinic where she is trying to be inseminated so she can become pregnant. We learn that her family has come over to France from Iran, and we learn a lot about the history of her family there in that country and the reasons that they are now in France. We also learn a lot about her life. This has a lot of queer representation, lesbian representation. It deals with creating your own family and sort of the rules and regulations within France regarding insemination and creating a family on your own, and the sort of the different things that you have to go to. This book is dense and full of beautiful language, beautiful storytelling. It is one of the hardest books I've ever tried to explain because so much goes on in it, but absolutely, absolutely wonderful, and will fit so many amazing women in translated books here. But this definitely would fit the ebook, if that is an option for you, or any of the prompts, or if you just need to read a great book by a woman in translation. So that is Nigar Javadi's Disorient Allah, translated from the French by Tina Cover, out from Europa Editions. The next book on this list is I want to say this is also translated from the French, but this was published originally by Vintage Canada, and that is Man by Kim Tui. And this is translated, for this is the one where the translator is noted on the cover, by Sheila Fishman, also from the French. And I want to say this is actually translated from the Quebec French, which is unique in and of itself. The author left Vietnam and came to Quebec, and she writes her novel in French. This is the story of a young woman in Vietnam. She has been sort of raised by three different women in her life. One, I believe, is a nun who finds her when she's young, a woman who becomes a spy to survive, and then seeking security for her grown daughter. The last woman finds her husband that winds up taking her to Canada, where she works in a restaurant. She sort of flowers into her own sort of chef, and then she winds up in a relationship with another chef, another married man in Paris, and sort of that redefines the life that she lives and sort of makes her look back on the life that she and who she has become. So that is Kim Tu's Man, translated from the French by Sheila Fishman. This is out from Vintage Canada. I told you Europa was on here more than once because I read and loved this book last year. And this is Amelia Notham's Strike Your Heart, also translated from the French. Gosh, there are a lot of French translations starting this video off, by Alison Anderson. This book is so good, and it's so slight, but it is a power punch of a novel. This is the story of Diane. Diane is, in the very beginning of the book, she's a young girl. She has been born to a mother who sort of resents her for the attention that she takes away from the mom by her, from the father, from the husband, until the mother winds up having a son and doting on him, and the daughter really recognizes the difference in the way that the two children are being treated. So she decides to go live with I think it's her grandmother. I apologize. It's been a little while since I read it. But she goes and she lives with someone else and decides that she is going to define her life. While she is in college in a PhD program, she meets a woman who becomes her mentor, becomes very involved in that woman's life and helping her daughter as well. But she sort of learns that this woman is also taking advantage of her and treating her differently in the same way that maybe her mother was, or in a different way, but the same feelings. And it really comes down to her defining what she's going to do with these relationships she's had with these women and how she's been treated by them. This is a power punch of a small novel. So good. And that's Amelia Notham's Strike Your Heart, out from Europa Editions. So very good, you guys. The next one is from another little independent press, and I only have my advanced reader's copy, so I apologize. Again, translated from the French. This is Agnes Desarth's Hunting Party, out from Unnamed Press, translated by Christina Hills. This is a weird little book, but it is so thought-provoking. The story of a man who goes on a hunting trip where he doesn't really have sort of the fortitude to actually kill anything. He takes a shot at a rabbit, wounds it, and instead of admitting that the rabbit is still partially alive, throws the rabbit into his hunting bag and winds up having sort of this philosophical, metaphysical conversation with the rabbit about the world that he lives in. We soon find out that he is a new member to the town in which he and his wife have moved, and this sort of adventure was an attempt for them to become more acclimated and part of the community. But what happens is a huge rainstorm comes. he winds up getting trapped in a cave by another man who has been injured, and that sort of defines and sort of we find out some stuff that's been going on in the community that maybe he doesn't know about and doesn't really understand how his life has been going. It's really good, you guys. This is Hunting Party by Agnes Desarth, translated from the French by Christina Hills. Okay, let's get away from French for a minute and let's get into some Japanese. This book actually doesn't come out until August, so you would have to purchase it. I think it comes out in the middle of August, at the very last minute to fit into the readathon, but it is so worth your time. And that's The Memory Police by Yoka Agawa. This is translated from the Japanese by Stephen Schneider, and this is coming out from Pantheon Books. You guys, I've talked about this book so many times on my channel because it will be in my top 5 favorite reads of 2019, I'm so sure. The story of an island where things, objects, start to disappear from the collective consciousness, and then they have to be destroyed so people can no longer possess them. The story of a young woman who is sort of risen and in this world, and her mom disappeared because her mom was one of the few people that could still remember the objects after they had been disappeared. What we find out is that she has another person, her editor, she's a writer, who also has the ability to remember these objects, and she has to protect him from the memory police by moving and hiding him into her house. The memory police come around and sort of search out houses, people who are not adhering to the destruction and or forgetting of the objects that have disappeared. What is really clever about this book is that it's really a discussion regarding memory, relationships with objects, with people, and how we change and how we're defined by those things around us, and how we change our definition of ourselves when we can no longer latch on to those objects. I honestly think this book is super brilliant. I expect to see it on the National Book Award translated fiction award list next year. I think it's amazing, and that is The Memory Police by Yoka Agawa, again translated from the Japanese by Stephen Schneider, and this is out in August from Pantheon Books. Okay, so those are the 5 that I've read. Here are the 5 that I have not read and that I am super excited. The first is out from Grey Wolf Press, and that's The Wind That Lays Waste by Selva Almada. This is translated from the Spanish by Chris Andrews. I've talked about this book a couple times. This is Selva's debut novel. She's from Argentina. And speaking of Argentina, you could 100% read anything by Samantha Schweblin, and it's totally worth your time. This is the story of a man and a young girl who are a preacher who is going across Argentina preaching to people when an event occurs with their car, and they wind up at the home of a mechanic and a young boy, and they sort of have to wait for their ability to move on. What happens is a conversation occurs between this man of faith and this man of sort of more of a pragmatic, practical point of view, and how those two worlds intertwine. There's also the relationship between the young girl and the young boy and how they interact. Ever since this has come into my house, I've wanted to read it, and this could not be a better month to do it. It is out now. It came out in July, so you can get your hands on The Wind That Lays Waste by Selva Almada, translated from the Spanish by Chris Andrews, out from Grey Wolf Press. The next book is out from Two Lines Press, and this is the one that fits the prompt about having been translated over 5 years. The one that I know 100% fits that. This actually was originally copyrighted in 2002 and didn't come out until 2018 in its English translation. And I believe that this book is the first book by a female writer translated from Thai. I'm 90% sure that that's accurate. But this is Bright by Donwad Pimwani, translated by Mui Pupasakal. I'm going to hold that up just because I know I didn't do gracious with that last name. I'm also going to read the back of this one to you because it's a little bit, actually the next 1 and 2 I'm going to read back to you just because they're a little more complicated. This says, when 5-year-old Kampol is told by his father to sit in front of their rundown apartment building and await his return, the confused boy does as he's told. He waits and waits and waits until he realizes his father isn't coming back anytime soon. Adopted by the community, Kampol is soon to be raised by figures like Chong the shopkeeper, who rents out calls on his telephone and goes into debt, extending his customers endless credit. Dueling flea markets, a search for a 10 babat coin lost in the sands of a beach, pet crickets that even get eaten for dinner, bouncy ball fads, and loneliness so merciful that it kills a boy's appetite, all combine into this first ever novel by a Thai woman to appear in English translation. I was right. Duwan Pimwani's urban, at times gritty vignettes are balanced with a folktale-like feel and a charming wire sense of humor. So that is Bright. This is out from Two Line Press by Dunwad Pimwani, translated by Mui Pupkasakal, and I'm so sorry about that. I want that to be more phonetic, and I know that that's not right. And the first novel translated by a female Thai writer into the English language. Get your hands on it. Support your local independent presses. This one sounds fantastic. The next book I picked up because of Matthew Sciarappa, and it is the reason it's on my shelves, and that is City of Ash and Red by Hye-Young, translated by Sora Kim Russell. Translator listed on the cover on this one, so this does meet that prompt as well. And I believe that another book by this author is Matthew's pick for the extra readathon. The City of Ash and Red is the story of, I'm going to read this one to you because it sounds so farcically amazing. So it says, distinguished for his talents as a rat killer, the nameless protagonist of this novel is sent by the extermination company he works for on an extended assignment in C, a country descending into chaos and paranoia, swept by a contagious disease and flooded with trash. No sooner does he disembark than he is whisked away by quarantine officials and detained overnight. Isolated and forgotten, he realizes that he is stranded with no means of contacting the other outside world. Still worse, when he finally manages to reach an old friend, he is told that his ex-wife's body was found in his apartment and he is the prime suspect. Barely managing to escape arrest, he must survive in the streets of this foreign city, gripped with fear of contamination, and re-establish contact with his company and friends in order to clear his reputation. Oh, goodness. So this is translated from the Korean, and that is City of Ash and Red by Hye-Young, translated by Sora Kim Russell. That sounds amazing. Sora Kim Russell has translated a couple books that I have read, translated from Korean, and she is also excellent. The last book on this list is the one that I just picked up for myself, and this is At the Wolf's Table by Rosella Postorino. That's very Italian. Sorry about that. And this is translated from the Italian by Leah Jankowski. Jankowsko? That looks like a Polish last name, so I apologize. And this is out from Flatiron Books, and ever since I saw this book, I have wanted to buy it, and so I just bought it recently. This is historical fiction at its finest about a group of women that are the tasters of Hitler's food before he can eat to make sure that it is not poisoned and that he will live if he eats his meal. So every time these women sit down to work, they don't know if they're going to survive. That is all I really need to know about this book because I think that premise sounds fantastic. I do know that I think this book won a bunch of awards in Italy. So it is really well thought of over there. So again, that's At the Wolf's Table by Rosella Postorino, translated from the Italian by Leah Janesco. I'm going to hold that up just so you guys get it. And out from Flatiron Books. I apologize, Leah, for getting your name wrong. Yeah, so that is an amazing stack of books, you guys, to get you through Women in Translation. I can recommend highly 5 of them because I've read them, and the other ones, because I'm going to read them, you should read them too. As always, I wish you happy reading if you are a return subscriber. Thank you very much. Could not do this without you. If you are new to my channel, I hope that this video brings you back and you like what you see. As always, I encourage you to shop locally, read globally, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!